And with Memorial Day festivities underway and the 4th of July coming up, Airbnb says it's cracking down on unauthorized parties at its short-term rentals, both here in Nevada and nationwide.
Over these types of holidays, we have seen an increase in number of attempts to try to throw an unauthorized party, which is why we're elevating these systems and trying to reduce that risk.
Airbnb's message to guests this Memorial Day weekend: enjoy the party, but keep it outside your rental.
There's always going to be some folks who don't care what the rules are and are booking, perhaps under false pretenses. So that's why it's important to really back up those policies.
Airbnb is enforcing its no party policy this Memorial Day weekend using technology designed to block certain high-risk 1 or 2 night reservations for entire home listings.
Or let's say I live in Clark County and I just propped up my account yesterday, and all of a sudden I'm trying to book a 5-bedroom property in Henderson, say, that for one night on Memorial Day weekend.
Those are the types of reservations that would trigger the system to block it. Airbnb says they had success when they rolled this out last year. Here in Nevada, they say 80 people were deterred from booking entire home listings over last Memorial Day weekend because of this system.
These situations are rare. They're getting rarer. That's good, but we still take them very, very seriously. So that's why we're really stepping up our game and doing what we can to reduce that risk of disruptive parties.
Las Vegas Metro Police say they're not necessarily seeking out Airbnbs for enforcement this weekend, although officers may check in on certain homes where they have had problems in the past or contact some guests to remind them about noise ordinances that they may not be aware of.
And Airbnb says this system will also be in place for 4th of July reservations.